See, I did. I started the recording. And this is going to be a really fun meeting. This is a meeting with five different speakers. And we'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation, taking turns, and then we'll end it with whatever time we have left just to answer your questions. So, our main topic is selling your books at a table, doing a book signing. And so, I am going to begin by sharing um, our PowerPoint, and our first speaker is going to be CJ Berry. And I'm so happy to see her here and ready to go. And hold on, let me get back from the beginning. And there we go. All right. So we're talking tonight about our book sale, which is coming up so fast. It's almost here, and I hope you're getting excited and that you're getting ready. And I hope we can answer all of your questions tonight and help you get comfortable with this idea of what we're going to do. So we're going to start with CJ, and I'm going to turn things over to her.
Well, I'd rather be careful.
If we could have everybody else mute themselves and let CJ have the floor.
I probably go out. Marty's daughter was doing ticket, but they won't drive that far.
All right, can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Okay, good. Hi guys, I'm so excited to have you here. Mike, are you moving the screen or am I doing that somehow? I'm hoping you guys can hear me. I'm going to start talking. Please let me know if you cannot hear me because I'm just talking and I feel like you guys should be able to hear me. I asked for pictures for a Zoom or to be able to do. Okay, I asked for pictures to be able to do a video. I have 7 so far. I believe there's 20 of us signed up, so I hope to get the rest. I have Laura, Mike, Jenny, Jim, Roberta, Mary, and JD. So I'm gonna go from there. All right, if you could change the screen, Mike. Are you standing out in a garden of books? So often in life we get lost. We feel like our book gets lost on a bookshelf. It gets lost, book fair, and that's what we're going to be. So many people in their books. How are we going to stand out in this garden of books? So the next few slides, they're going to show you something very similar, and I'm just going to share with you how I get my booth to stand out, and hopefully it resonates with you. If you can change the slide, please, Mike. As you look at these slides, I'm going to share with you a few ways to open the door and invite your readers to come in and dance between your pages. So that way your book won't be lost. Before you look at the next picture, I would like you to think about and focus on one thing on the page as it starts and note what drew you into that particular item. Go ahead and change the page. Maybe it was a color or it was a location of something. Maybe it is, can it play or will it not play? Something draws you into just one thing. And this is something that your book will do to other people. It will draw them in. Maybe it was the green one on the corner at the end, and it reminded you of the plant that's been pushing up through the cracks in the sidewalk, determined to survive. Or maybe it was the pink one because it's your favorite color of your favorite dress or a memory from your mother. But each of us had a reason we were drawn to a particular container. I believe these are containers, but they look like books on a bookshelf to me. Go ahead and change the slide. When we share our work, we're drawn in we're drawing in our readers. We become this magnet, and their relationship between the world around them and is we have to draw in their relationship with that world. So like in the previous slide, we were drawn to one particular container. And so here we want to be that magnet, that particular thing that draws in. So we have to share that thing that will draw in our readers. Go ahead and change the slide. Draw in what they're looking for. Much like a bee, this one needs to play, I think, too. Much like a bee and why it selects a particular flower in a garden of flowers, skipping some and landing on another, it is attracted to it. And that is what you're going to do with your book. You are going to, or your vendor booth, you're going to attract your reader. Sometimes it's your cover, it can be your booth, either way. So you're not just one flower in a bunch, you're going to be that one that attracts the bee for our readers. Go ahead and change the slide. I've said this before, I say this when I talk about social media, regardless if you're creating your social media space, your vendor booth, or speaking at an event, you are a magnet to your work. You can see it here in my own presentation. My work is about Eden's goddesses, and my book is about creating our soul garden. And so here in my presentation even, I'm saying this is who I am. I'm sharing that, and it's going to resonate with some of you, and some of you may be like, okay, I can relate that to me. But regardless of what you do, you're going to present that. Nobody else can do that for you. Nobody else can present you for you. And even if you're lucky enough to have someone helping you, which I have had at booths, they're an extension of your magnet. So just remember that in everything you do. Go ahead and change the slide, please. Your booth needs to showcase you. It doesn't have to be perfect. If anything you can take from this, it does not have to be perfect. Remember that. Be you, be yourself, be kind, and your flower, your book will attract your bees. Your booth will. Go ahead and change the slide. Remember, not perfect, not fake, but authentic. This is where I started. It's quite different from where I ended up, so it's okay not to be perfect. It got me where I'm at. When I started, I chose a theme based on wild berry, reminded me of my grandmother, which one of them always reminded me to be brave and be bold. And so for the wild, and my other grandmother, she did the gardening, and she was my strawberry grandma. So wild berry was that. And the candy co was to remind us that candy is sweet, sour, bitter, and, just like life, it's got all the different flavors to it. So go ahead and change. I also have a thing for coffee and tea. This is my logo now. And you can see kind of where it came from the other, but it's really taken on a life of its own. And this embodies the whole theme of my story. It came from my book. So the slide before, I hadn't finished writing my book. Once I created this is after I had my identity because I've created my book. Go ahead and change the slide. You can see here, all of these key elements are in my book. I often talk about rocks. The river of tears leads to the garden of our soul, into our healing in my book. So the healing of our heart and the healing of our soul and the reflection of who we are. So each of these key elements that I've drawn from to present my vendor booth, which I'll show you my vendor booth in a minute, and my logo and who I am are drawn from my stories. Go ahead and change the slide. And then it progressed. On the right here, you can see the storm, and you can see the shack, and then you can see the light, the lady walking into the light, and then the book in the center. Those were all prototypes for my book originally before it became what it is now. And you'll see it on my booth a little bit, but it just, don't be perfect. Just keep going. That's what I have to say about that. But let it shine through, because you can even see, even as it started, it kind of progressed into something to what it is now. And this is even different than who I am now, right? It says this is what's in my story, more what it is now. Go ahead and change the thank you. So coming together, the main thing I want you to focus on here, not be perfect, but your key elements. You need to think about you, who you are, obviously your genre. What genre is your book in? Mine is a spiritual healing journey. And so my presentation completely takes you that way. I use the color palette a lot to design my booth and to bring nature to show that that's what I'm presenting. Your brand name, make sure you can see it, your brand name and your logo. And your tagline, whatever it is. Mine used to be, life is sometimes sweet, sour, bitter, you know, and now it's not. Now it is, I hope you find your inner strength and know it's been within you all along. So your tagline, your tone, and your visual style. Think about your senses as you create your booth and how your senses are going to draw your reader in, just like the bee, to what is the theme of your book. Go ahead and turn the page. And this is one thing that I focus on because it's who I am, because I will always be the girl who loves books, arts, letters, poetry, listen to music, psychology, vintage vibes, history, melancholy, museums, vampires, libraries, and finding beauty in little things. And you can see how if I present that, I'm going to draw those people in. I'm going to draw in the readers that are going to say, oh, that is me as well, because I'm being authentic in who I am and what my story is about, and to draw them in. Go ahead and change the slide. Because it's your book, make it an extension of you. This is a line from my book, and one I really focus around when I do my vendor booths and when I present at a vendor fair or anything. And she dreamed of the scent of home, warm tea, honey, and the garden that grows. So when I created my soul garden in my book, I'm finding myself, this is what it became. It became almost a complete replica of this image here. This image really centered that in. So I center my whole booth around this, about the direction I'm taking my readers and the world I'm taking my readers into. Go ahead and turn the page. Or turn the page, change the slide. You can see here in the beginning, I have to thank Lily because she has always been an amazing help for me. She comes to my booths and at times I got overwhelming. So you can see the larger image there. That booth was 3 tables large and my book really got drowned out in it. I have a lot of things now in my vendor booth that I have. I'm reaching towards having a store with a bookstore in it. So I'm slowly growing that. But then I've also had 2 smaller tables because when I had the smaller table here, my book still felt lost in it. And my sign was small, was low, so you couldn't see it. So you can look at these images and see some of the things I did wrong that I learned from, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. We're learning, we're going. Also, always know if you're going to be outside or not, because if you don't know, you need a canopy. Go ahead and turn the page. Thank you. This is where my booth has settled, and it's so, there's such a world of difference of where it was. My sign is now on my table. I have 1 6-foot table here, and I'm not sure what size table yet we're going to have. It depends on how many people sign up. We might have a half table, so then I'll readjust. One thing I have found that it helps is to have a gift pack, just one, especially if you're paying for your vendor booth. If you're paying a fee, so I do a gift, you can see the pink box there. I do a gift box, and that gift box is the cost of my vendor booth with my book and everything in it. And the rest of that is all bookish, witchy vibe things, which is me, and it draws my readers into who I am, what this story is going to be about. If somebody's not into that, they're going to walk past my booth. They're going to say, that's not for me. And I'm going to go over to the mystery over here. But if they're into what my booth is, this is my flower. I'm drawing them in. Go ahead and change the slide. This next slide, let's see. Oh, thank you for doing that. It is 2 of our vendors. Oh, you're on my graph. I think I lost some of my pages there on that slide. I'm just going to go over what I had there that at the end, so no worries. I just want to bring you back to a couple of reminders. You need an extension cord if you need power, and you need to know if you're by a plug. Don't forget to have a cash box. I recommend about $100, couple 20s, and then go down from there depending on the price of your book. So if your book's not going to need dollar bills to round to, don't worry about the dollar bills. But if it is going to need dollar bills to round to, bring the dollar bills. And I recommend water and snacks whenever you're at a vendor booth, because you're going to be there for a long time. I actually like to sip on warm tea while I'm at my vendor booth. It helps my senses. It keeps me calm, but it also helps my voice because I talk the whole time. You're talking to a lot of people for a long period of time, whole time you're there. Always make sure you know what your table is going to, what if they provide the table, if they provide the chair, because you might need to bring a table and chair to a vendor booth. And yeah, don't forget to ask in canopy if you're inside or outside. I want you to focus back onto the slide that said your key elements, and take a moment and just jot down like 5 key elements that are to your book and what you think of for your book. And that's slide 12 of mine. I don't know if they can tell, but what's the key elements? That one's perfect. What is it, your genre? If your genre is aliens, put some alien stuff on your table. So that way somebody who's into aliens is going to be like, that's my booth right there. That's the one I want to go to. And have gifts for your people, whether or not it's a business card or a bookmark or something. Make sure you have your business card though. And the QR codes, I'm trying to think what was on that last side. QR codes. You want a QR code for payments, how you're going to take payments, and a QR code for following you. Both of those are very important to have, whether it's on a flyer they can grab or not. So does anybody have any questions for me, or are we not doing questions right now? I'm not sure.
We're gonna continue on with the next speaker, and I know you have to bolt, right? You have
Yes,
you
tonight
have an
is
obligation.
Yes, tonight is my last open mic night. So it starts at 7. So if you guys want to hop over here to Better Days on Apple Valley Road, I'll be here from 7 to 10 tonight. We end at 10. So come on down and get a chance to read your book in front of an audience. So I hope to see you guys here, but if not, I will see you guys all at the vendor fair. Hi, thank you so much.
Thank you, CJ.
If you
Thank
have
you.
questions, go ahead and email me. And if you still have your photo you would like in the advertisement slide, please email me as well. And make sure you're following us on Facebook for the writers group. And have fun, guys. Oh, there it is. You found it.
Wait,
Yes,
that
theirs
one,
was the perfect image there. All right.
this one is yours.
Yes, that one was mine. I had that one there because it was a good visualization of two booths next to each other. That even though they're very different booths, they still draw you in. And I was grateful to have an event I got to have with them. So, all right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, CJ.
Bye.
Before we move on to Mr. Raff, make sure you're muted. We were getting some back noise, sounded like a television going on. So make sure you're muted, and we'll have Mike Raff unmute himself and take us from here. Go ahead, Mr. Raff.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I've been in a lot of book sales, and with a lot of them with my friend and business partner, Roberta Smith, who's here with us. And like, for instance, we go to this horror thing called creepy.com, where you have thousands of people come through, but only a small percent are readers. And you usually know them if they come scattering up right to your table. What they help themselves. They help themselves to a book. But a lot of people aren't very sure. They come up and they look and hand them the book that they're looking at, and show them the back. Your book should have a nice little concise summary of what it's about. Don't repeat that. Have like a bullet line or a sales pitch, no more than 10 words, okay, to get their interest. For example, I know a lot of you aren't horror fans, but most of my books are. For Stalkers is my biggest seller. I bring 20 books to all the Horror Fest events, and I rarely have any left. So So I keep that one prominent, not unlike that picture there. I keep it where you can see the full cover. And for that book, when a lot of the customers do gravitate to that one, I have a line that Stalkers takes place in one night and is based on the most terrifying nightmare I ever had. And I woke up, I knew I had a book. That's it. You know, a lot of times that sells a book right there or the back. So be prepared. I got 10 books. I can't remember. I'm not any great Einstein here, but I can't always remember. Oh, but I usually come up with something very brief. Okay. Let the customer read the back. Don't be interrupting too much. Sometimes I start out, I'll see a person kind of looking, you know, they're still walking, but they're looking over at Roberta or my books. And I'll engage them. How are you doing tonight or today? How are you having fun? And our famous, Roberta and myself, line is, are you a reader? Now, come the 14th, you can bet people are going to be readers. Sometimes you can ask, what genre do you like? Who are your favorite authors? Stuff like that. When they say Stephen King, to me, I go, oh, yeah, me too. I model a lot of my stories after him. That helps too. If you see and look in the picture, I have a book rack. Okay. Roberta talked me into buying one. I didn't have much of a choice. Just kidding. And it helps. You can get a lot of books on there. The problem is when you're sitting behind a book rack, you're like looking over the books like Kilroy or somebody. So I bought a director's chair, and it elevates me just enough. And because of my back, sometimes it's painful to stand. So I sit in a director's chair, but when I start engaging a customer, I stand. Why? I don't know. I swear you sell more books that way. But I think that they feel that you're invested, that you're interested enough to get off your chair and start talking. Is there another slide? I think there was. Mike? There you go. Oh, that's an event that CJ got us involved in, and my partner there is, oh gosh, Lynn, Sherilyn, or no, Vicki Lynn. Thank you.
Vicky, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Anyways, you can see it's a smaller display. We split in a smaller table. I do have a few props. Like CJ said, you know, have a little sign. There's a little sign on the left-hand corner of my table that says I accept credit cards. And there's another sign with the prices of the books. I do have a banner. I don't know if I'll bring it though. I don't think a lot of the readers will be horror fans, but banners help make everything colorful. Now, a lot of our customers, they don't have a lot of cash, so they want to use credit card. And I use Square. Roberta taught me to get that too. It's free. You can get it on the internet. All I got to do is Google Square, square.com, I believe. You get one free, but they take a slight commission. I think lately they raised it to 2.5 with 15 cents per transaction. So it does cut into your sales. You have to decide if you want to charge a little bit more for the books that are bought with a credit card. What else? There was one more thing I was going to mention. Cash box. Well, I bought a cash box and used it, but I get afraid that it's going to disappear into the ozone layer. You know, things do that sometimes. So I wear cargo pants with extra pockets, and I keep the cash in that. And if you have a purse, I don't, but if you do, you could keep the cash there. And I I do make it over $100, especially at the bigger events. Now, if we were selling at Spirit during Halloween, I don't need that much cash. And I've sold at coffee houses and Barnes and Noble and everything too. You don't need cash at Barnes and Noble. So I believe that's my presentation, Mike. Yeah, this stuff here, CJ covered most of it, so all of it practically. But yeah, table size is helpful. You know, we're going to have two different types of tables at that event. There's the really long ones, which we're going to ask people to split. Okay, 2 per those table. And the shorter ones, you can have one of those. So come on time. You're going to have to set up yourselves. And I don't know if she said, but she did have pictures. Bring a tablecloth. It looks classier, more professional. And dress like I dress. Well, usually I used to dress in like spooky shirts, and I stopped doing that. I wear a nice shirt, button-down shirt, but you can't see it in the pictures because it was so cold in the event room. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right. Now, the one and only Jenny Margata takes the floor.
And surprise, surprise, I'm going to talk about money. I know you did not expect that this evening. Part of we've already covered. You want to make sure that you bring whatever you want. If it's a money bag, if you've got big pockets, if it's a purse, if it's a cash bag, whatever, make sure you bring plenty of change. A little bit farther on, we'll talk about how we set our prices, and CJ covered it a little bit. You want to make sure you have the right denominations to make change. These days, expect people to have $20 bills, and I found more and more a lot of people are bringing 50s and even $100 bills. So bring a whole, if just because you think, well, I'm probably only going to sell 4 books, I'll bring $100. Somebody hands you $100 bill, you're not going to be able to make change. I am going to have a lot of change at my table, but do not count on me to give you change. If it's an absolute emergency and you have to turn away a sales because you can't make change, you can come and ask me. But I'm not the bank for 22 authors. So do bring your own. I will have some emergency backup though, but just, don't use me as your ATM. Okay, Mike, you want to change this slide? The biggest question that I've had throughout this entire thing is the California resale certificate. The state California Writers Club requires me to have a hard copy of everyone's, or at least a digital copy, because some of them are on the computer, but a copy of everybody's resale certificate if they are selling their books under the HDCWC umbrella, which this event is. It is free. It does take about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes if you're pretty slow on the computer to wade through. We can send this, I'm sure Mike will send this slideshow to everybody so you can see these slides, but you want to make sure you go to the CDTFA California.gov website. If you just search for California resale certificate, the first half a dozen sites that come up are going to hijack you. And they're going to want you to pay $20 or $30, $50. And it's free with California. Make sure you go to this cdfa.ca.gov site. You can see there's a box. The second box down there says register for a permit. And you register online. Next slide, please. This is the next page that'll pop up. You'll see my little red arrow where it says create my logon. So you've all done usernames and passwords. You know the drill for doing that. So then once you've created your logon and username, typed it in and there's some continue buttons and stuff. That part's easy. You'll come to the next link, which is under number 6. You're registering a new business activity. So you're going to click on that link. And a little hint, one of the things that they're going to ask you is what your projected sales are. Do not get bug-eyed and think, oh, it's going to be $1,000 a month. It might be, but if you put $1,000 or $1,500 a month down, they're going to make you file quarterly, even if you only sell $10. So start out small. You don't get penalized if you report more than you estimated, but you do get penalized from a time standpoint because they're going to make you do it quarterly if you put in a great big number. So I put in 50 or $100 at most for what your projected sales are going to be. They're going to ask you when your sales date is. You can start June 1st. You can say June 14th. If you've already sold books this year, in the year runs from July 1st through June 30th. So if you've sold any books from July 1st of last year, you're going to need to report those on when you do your annual report, which is due the 15th of July. So you need to keep track of all of that kind of stuff. So you'll want your sales to be whenever your first book sale was, if it isn't just starting at our book sale. Next slide. All right. As far as finishing the certificate, once you get past that setting up stuff, it just asks you all kinds of stuff. When you get it all set up, then you'll go back to, it'll walk you through this thing. Rusty said she had trouble, nothing came in the mail. It doesn't. You wait for about 10 minutes maybe after you say you're done, and then you can print it out right there online. If you can't wait, remember what your login and password were. You can always go back in, follow the link to your resale certificate, and print it out. So, and you can always call me, I can help you. Now, setting your book price. Most of you have already come up with a price, so we're not going to talk about how you came up with that price, but you don't want to say, most of us have on Amazon.com, it'll be $12.95 or $14.99. We'll put the pennies and the nickels and stuff in there. You do not want to do that at a book sale because you don't want to have to worry about pennies and nickels and dimes and change and all of that. You want to set it at an even dollar amount. I have a couple that I sell for $8, so I make sure I have plenty of ones with me. I have another one that I need to sell for 15 because it's in full color. So you need to know what your different price ranges are. The club is easy. We sell them all for $10, so I don't have to worry about the club. But you want to set an even dollar amount. And keep in mind, even if somebody comes up to you and they're a soft touch and you say, here, let me just give you the book. I'll give you the book if you'll read it. You still have to mark that as a sale. And how you report it to the state when you fill out your report is the sale price of that book was your printing cost, what it cost you. You can't include shipping and handling. It's just your printing cost. If you give a book away, you report it as a sale, or you gave it away at, no cost, but you have to pay the sales tax on that. And so you have to keep track of that. You also need to keep track of which calendar year it's in, because sometimes sales tax change, and they generally change the first of the year if they're going to change at all. So you need to have a spreadsheet where you've got your dates of when you sold things in case your sales tax changes. But for our book sale on June 15th, which is our priority tonight, your sales tax rate is 7.75% at Apple Valley. And it isn't, a lot of people say, well, it's my home address. No, it's the physical site of the event. So if you go down to San Bernardino, you need to double check and make sure what your sales tax is wherever your event is going to be. Like I said, for Apple Valley, it's 7.75% for the June one. Okay, Mike, you want to change the slide? The easiest way to figure for me, it's easy, but then I know numbers. So if you get confused, I'll help you through it when you're ready to do your pricing. Like I said, you want to make your sales price an even dollar amount, but you don't want to tell the state that you sold your book for $10, because then you're out of pocket whatever the sales tax is. So I call it backdooring. I'm sure there's a technical word for it, but I figure backdooring is a good price. So this chart over here shows you if you sell your book for $10, you will report to the state that you sold the book for $9.28 and you collected 72 cents in sales tax. There's your $10. You're not out of pocket. It's really, really easy to figure if you go someplace else. If my dollar amount isn't on there, or if you go somewhere else and the sales tax, it's different. It's whatever your even dollar amount is divided by 100% plus the sales tax rate. So it would be like if you sold it for $20, which isn't on here, it would be $20 divided by 107.75%. Victorville's state rate right now is 8.75. So that a $10 book, and if you were in Victorville, would be $10 divided by 108.75. The answer to that formula is the sales price that you report to the state. And the difference between the beginning dollar amount of $10 and the answer to the formula that we just did is if for Apple Valley happens to be 72 cents, that's your sales tax. Works for every single dollar amount that you come up with, and you're not out of pennies. You don't have to worry about charging pennies to your people at your table, and you're not out of pocket anymore when you report it to the state. So I think we covered it pretty much. You want to drop the first one in, and I'll just go over this real quick again. Know your sales location's tax rate. The event on June 15th is in Apple Valley. It's 7.75%. Set your book's sales price. Example, $10. I missed an apostrophe. Oh, a possessive apostrophe. How could I do that? Divide your sales price by 100% plus the sales tax rate. Another mistake, a space before my period. I must have been smoking that day. Number 4, the result is the amount you report to the state as your sales price. Like we said, $9.28. And the sales price in step 2 less the result of step 3 equals the sales tax due to the state for that sale. Number 6. Sounds complicated, but it's really easy, I promise you. So, to repeat, a book sold for $10 at the event would be reported to the state as a $9.28 sale with 72 cents collected sales tax. The only thing that doesn't fit that you don't have to backdoor anything for is if you give away a book, and then it's just a straight 7.75% of whatever your printing cost was for the book that you bought from KDP or wherever you buy your books. Okay, next slide, or do I have another one? Oh, I don't. All right. I think that's probably it. Cash box, plenty of change, even dollar amounts. Make sure you have a sign that very, very clearly shows what your dollar amounts are, what your prices are, so that you don't have to stop. And one thing that nobody's covered yet that I just want to mention, have a table copy of each of your books out there. You want, and I keep mine from event to event because they're going to get marked up. Some little kid's going to have chocolate on their hands. You can wipe off the covers, or the pages will get a little bit bent and curved. When somebody says, okay, I'll buy the book, reach behind you or wherever you have your stack of sale books and give them a brand new, fresh copy. Don't try to make them buy your sales copy because then they're going to go, oh, I got a clean, fresh one. I don't want this book everybody else has touched. So that's one tip that nobody's mentioned yet is have table copies of your books. You can even put a sign on I have little labels that say table copy not for sale. So that's me.
Cool. Next up is Richard Spencer.
All righty now. Next slide. We're going to talk today about dressing for a book signing. None of us have a problem with the concept of people judging our book by its cover. The same thing applies to you. People will draw conclusions about you by what you wear. And to a certain degree, it's true. And we need to be prepared for it. It's just how to make a great first impression. One of the things you want to, let's go to the next slide. You want to dress for confidence and comfort. Whatever you're wearing, it needs to be comfortable if you're going to be at an all-day event. You, and as Mike said earlier, it doesn't matter what you normally wear. If you're going to a book sale, you should at least be wearing something that would be equivalent to business casual. A button-down shirt, slacks. You want clean shoes, not your flip-flops or the shoes you work in your garden in. And the most important thing about clothes is you want to coordinate your outfit to your book's theme. If you want a brand, and one of the ways that you can reinforce your brand is to pick colors that occur in your cover. So you just coordinate your outfit to match your book's theme. Next slide. What not to wear. You do not want to go to a book sale looking like this guy. You want to avoid the overly casual clothes, and you also want to stay away from controversial slogans. If you've got a cause that you are really passionate about, your book sale is not the place to push that agenda. You're there to sell books, not promote a cause. So choose what you wear carefully and skip the controversial slogans on T-shirts. And don't overdress. A book sale is not a place to wear a suit. Business casual is a great way to go. And, well, I guess for men as well, avoid tight or revealing clothes. Again, you're not there to sell yourself. You're there to sell your book. And where it may entertain a lot of people, it probably will not increase your sales. So, next slide. Just a final tip. Let your outfit work for you, and smile at people. Talk to people. Mike mentioned it. As a customer comes by, if he glances at your table, engage him with something simple like, how are you doing? Who's your favorite author? If you engage them, even people that might have just walked on by your table will actually stop and talk to. Everybody likes to be recognized and spoken to. And a lot of times that's all it will take to get them to actually take a second look at your book. And they may find that that's something that they would like to read. So that's it for dressing. It's mostly just common sense, but just avoid some of the pitfalls. And now we're going to talk about harvesting email addresses. This is so much more important than a lot of people realize. Go to the next slide. Why does your email, these email addresses matter? It gives you a direct connection with your readers. Unlike social media, you actually own your email list. I heard a story recently about an author had been on Facebook for 12 years pushing her books. She had over 10,000 followers, and she made one small miscalculation, and she used a word in a post on somebody else's account. She just responded to a post, but she used a word that the algorithm picked up on, and she was canceled for life. She lost those 10,000 followers, She didn't know who they were. She didn't have an email address for them. She just lost them. That can never happen to your email list because you own it. You're not dependent on some algorithm in some platform. It helps you build long-term relationships with your readers. And subscribers are much more likely to leave reviews than followers. So your email address, the email addresses that you can collect, they really, really matter. Next slide. You want to make it easy for your readers to sign up at your table. You can have a tablet that's set up to the subscribe page on your website. You do have a website, I'm assuming. If you're going to promote your book, it starts with a website. It doesn't start with a book sale. Every author that's going to actively promote their books needs a website. And on that website needs to be a place for them to subscribe to your newsletter. And you can set up a tablet that's already on that page on your website. So all they have to do is pick up the tablet, enter their email, enter their name, hit submit, and you have captured that email address. You can have a QR code for smartphone signups. I just made this. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a little 4x6 card, and it has the QR code on it. And all a person has to do is take a picture of that QR code with their smartphone, and it takes them directly to that subscribe page. And they can enter their name and their email address from their own phone. And then, of course, you can always have a clipboard sign-up sheet as a backup. A lot of times, your smart devices depend on having Wi-Fi. And as we found the other day, you can find places where you don't have access to Wi-Fi. So it always pays to have a clipboard with a analog sign-up sheet on it. Next one. And offer a reward for people to sign up. You're asking them to give you something. So it kind of pays for you to give them something in return. It can be a free ebook or a short story. You can enter their name in a drawing for maybe a gift card or a signed autographed copy of your book, or exclusive behind the scenes content, something where it's you're not asking them to give you that email address for nothing. It impresses people if you are willing to give them something in return. So offer a reward for people to subscribe to your newsletter. Next one. And keep it low pressure and high value. You don't push people, you invite them. And just be friendly. You don't have to be salesy. Nobody likes to encounter a used car salesman off of a used car salesman's lot. And then you highlight the benefits. There's going to be a benefit to them subscribing to your newsletter. So I think that's it.
And
There
that
you
is
go.
it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Richard. And thank you, Jenny. And thank you, Mike. And I bring up the rear of this presentation. So I just want to encourage us all to think like a business person. Your writing career is your business. Your books are your products. And if you're not selling them, your business is standing still. So really try to start thinking more and more like a business person. We're providing this opportunity in the club, um, hopefully to get you hooked on selling your books. And this is Mike and I at Townsend when we were doing that uh, opportunity, and we both set up our tables together and had a wonderful time. Book selling is fun. You meet a lot of people. It can be a real blast. On the 14th, when we do our book sale at the church, I expect to meet at least a dozen people and have wonderful conversations and get to know some people, maybe make some connections that I've never made before. So I hope you're looking at it in the same way. It's very important that you secure your inventory, and I would do this tomorrow. Make sure you count how many books you have on hand. Try to have at least enough to where you're going to be happy if you sell them all. For my books, I'm doing different amounts for different books because I want to have just enough inventory to sell exactly what I want to sell. And then really attempt to be ready to go. Like Jenny said, have your table books, but have your other books ready to give, your new books ready to give. Also, make sure you have a pen that writes nicely. You're going to want to sign these books. There's extra value to your customer if you sign your book. And what I do is I come up with a slogan. My books are about training young people to become warriors for God. And one of the things that keeps coming up in the books is taking your warrior stance. So I'll say, to Mary, always take your warrior stance. I'll put that in, then I'll sign my name underneath it. It means something to the reader if you make the book personal to them. Then this is a part I wanted to get to. I really am hoping that all of us are getting ready to speak, that we see ourselves not only as writers, but also as presenters. One of the ways that you're going to build your platform, promote your books, is by speaking engagements. So this is when I was speaking up in Fresno to the club up there. The more opportunities you get to present yourself and your brand, your platform, the better. And at opportunities like this, you can sell your books. I sold quite a few books at this engagement. Also, you can see on the side here, I've put together a seminar which I want to do in churches. And this again goes along with my personal brand. And I want to get into these churches and do this presentation. Your brand might be something else. And then always seek out places where you can make a difference. I love Ann Miner and the things that she's done with Parkinson's. She used to write articles about Parkinson's, and she's been writing articles for the Pulse about Parkinson's. Well, then she wrote her book on Parkinson's, but meanwhile, she has been an advocate and training families how to deal with Parkinson's. She has support groups that she manages, and she speaks at different venues, all explaining the what she has learned about Parkinson's because her husband had Parkinson's. So think bigger. Think in terms of your brand and what you want to make a difference doing with your writing. And then who can you reach out to? Who can you speak to? Like I said, Ann has spoken to many, many different clubs and groups up here in the high desert. And I'm going to be speaking into churches. I'm doing Bible studies. You might be doing something different, but think about where you can go and present your materials. So think of yourself not only as a writer, but as a speaker as well, and somebody who's building a platform. Okay, I am going to shut down this presentation, and we have just a few minutes for questions. So if everybody will unmute yourselves. And anybody with a question, this is your opportunity.
This is Cheryl Lynn. Thanks, everyone. I mean, I took notes from every single speaker. Information is real helpful. I feel better about the whole event already just from being here. So thank you. I wanted to ask specifically what to do if you sell out of books. And I wanted to ask Richard specifically if you talked about giving away perhaps offering behind the scenes content. What are you talking about and how do you do that?
Well, if you're going to get serious about promotion, one of the things that you consider second after your website is a newsletter. That's what you would be using these email addresses for, is you would be sending these people a periodic newsletter. And the content of your newsletter is not always going to be buy my next book. You can be sharing the personal things. What got you into writing? That's a topic of content that you could write and include in your newsletter. You could have excerpts from the book, and that can be content. And when you offer them, the behind the scenes, we're talking about things that are not incredibly personal, but just a little bit more than professional. Depending on, I've seen some people, I've known them for 5 minutes and they told me their entire life story and all of the dirt in their family. It was just way more information than I wanted. But somewhere in between that is a level of sharing semi-personal stuff that will, it gives your reader something to relate to. So when I was talking about extra content, it's mostly the stuff that you have been putting on your newsletters periodically anyway. So in a lot of cases, you'll accumulate quite a bit of this content. And it costs you next to nothing to offer that to someone for their email address. If that makes any sense.
I got it. Yeah, it does. Thank you. And then the other question was about, for whoever wants to answer it, about what to do at the book sale if you run out of books or sell out.
What are you going to do? You're out.
You cheer, you jump up and down and celebrate.
I know. I mean, is there consolation prize or
you help promote somebody else? I mean, you're out of books. You got to take enough books. There was one event that Roberta and I went to, and I must have brought, I don't know, 70 some books. And I sold 65 books. That's like $800. And I sold every horror book. And I only had 7 books left. I had no idea that it would go that well. So it's better to bring a few extra than not enough.
If nothing else, make sure they know if your book is available on Amazon.
That's
My business card on the back of, my business card says I'm an editor, but on the back of my business card, it says that as an author, I have written these books, and I have the title of my book and the ISBN number, and it says available on Amazon.com.
Nice.
So at very least, say I apologize. I've had a wonderful day. I sold them all, but you can always find my book on Amazon, and here's how.
And that's another thing that's real important. Have a business card. If you don't already have a business card, they're not hard to make. They're not super expensive. You can make them on Vistaprint is where I go, and I made this one on Vistaprint, designed it in a morning, and put in the order. It wasn't super expensive. I've got a QR code on the back,
Perfect, perfect.
and it's really easy to do. So having a business card that you can hand to people is really important.
And
might
mine,
wanna-
most of you have probably seen it. It like I said, it says, call my editor today. There's a open journal and it says, call my editor today as a reminder. So I sell myself first as an editor because I have this bad habit of wanting food on the table and a roof over my head. And then I talk about that I also do editing and book design, but it's really, really important that you have something like a business card or a handout, or I also have bookmarks. One side is I have a two-part young adventure series, and it's double-sided. The first book's on one side and the second book's on the other side. So I have free bookmarks to hand out. Little things that are giveaways. I bought pens that say Jenny Margada, copy editor, with my email address on them. And at the book sale, I'm going to say, if you buy a book, you get a free pen. And there's my advertising out there, because you know that pen will walk out off, probably somebody will pick it up someplace. So it'll make the rounds. So those little things that are just that don't cost a lot, or that are less than $1 a piece to give away. I think I ended up paying 48 cents a piece for my pens. You know, it's not going to break you, but you never know who's going to end up with that card, with that advertising to contact you.
Bookmarks are good to advertise too. I had a blast making up mine, but you give them away to the customers that have bought your books.
And I always stick one in. When somebody buys a book, I always stick a bookmark in. I belong to a book exchange club called Paperback Swap. And whenever I swap one of my books, somebody orders one of my books, I always stick my business card and my own bookmark into the book that I mail to people. Has nothing to do with the book that they're ordering from me, but it gets my advertising out there. And then I write off the cost of the membership as a business expense because I'm using it for advertising.
And the bookmarks
idea.
are really easy to do. This is the one I have on my current book, and it just has the name on the front. But on the back of the bookmark is a QR code.
I gotta get
And that's, if they scan the QR code with their smartphone, it will take them directly to on this one, I believe it goes straight to my website, where they can buy the books. And on my website, I do direct sales. So people can buy my books from me,
yeah,
from my website.
yeah.
And the ones that buy off the website, the copy that they get is autographed, which you
Yeah.
can't get from Amazon.
That's right.
And I make
Did you make
twice
your
as
own
much.
bookmarks too, Richard?
I make twice as much on the sale as I do if they buy it from Amazon.
It's really easy to Vistaprint does them. I order mine from a site called Overnight Prints. There's a company called Amsterdam Printing. Just go online and search design your own bookmarks. There's lots and lots and lots of places out there that they give you a template. You just slip stuff in. If somebody needs any help, give me a holler. I'll be glad to give you some advice.
I ordered bookmarks and table signs from Vistaprint because once you upload your picture, boom, 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 it goes everywhere. And they're reasonable and it's quick and easy.
And the other sites are very similar to Vistaprint. So yeah, Vistaprint's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they're not the only source out there. Just, there's many of them available.
Oh, great. Thanks, everyone.
Any other questions? And by the way,
I had
we're not going anywhere. And if you think of something later on, you can email any one of us who were heading this up tonight. We'd be more than happy to help you out. We want to see this be a real successful event. Go ahead, Rusty.
no one mentioned receipts for each sale. Are we required to give a receipt, or only if they ask for it? And you just keep a little receipt booklet handy?
You can have a receipt book. What I do for my personal ones is I have them printed on half page. Actually, I think it's 3 to a page, and I have the titles pre-printed with a little box next to them. And I have my name and email address, and I have the price of the book. The only thing you have to fill in is their name. I have the date already pre-printed for the event. So if somebody buys The Woman in Room 23, I just put a check mark in the box next to the woman in room 123, put her name down and hand it to her because everything else has already been filled out. It's
Cool.
very, very quick. Handwriting receipts will really slow you down. So the
Yeah,
more
I
you
don't
can have
like
them,
it.
yeah, the more you can have them pre-printed, the better you are. That's so that, like I said, just check mark next to the title they bought. All you have to fill in is their name.
Okay, thanks.
As
If
a
you
follow-up to
use-
that, do you need to give receipts or do people expect them or require them? How does that?
I always say, do you want a receipt? Half
Okay.
the time they don't.
Okay.
Occasionally they do, but the ones that do, particularly if you're going to offer a credit card, you definitely need to ask them if they want a receipt with their credit card transaction. Uh, if they're handing you cash, chances are they don't, but just be ready to give a receipt to anybody that wants one.
What's the
Also,
state want?
also you have the square. It gives you the option of the receipt, and you can have the receipt sent to their email address, and it's all done electronically. It's real nice.
What's the
They
state
just have to
requirement?
fill their email address in on your phone if they want the receipt. So there's a lot of different options.
What's the state require?
The state doesn't ask you for receipts as far as your sales are concerned. They don't want to know who you sold them to. They just want to know how many you sold.
Okay.
They will, though, I forgot to tell you, they will ask you who your supplier is. And so it's Amazon. They will ask you for a phone number for Amazon. If you don't have a phone number and can't find one, give me a holler because they try to keep it really secret. But I have the mailing address and phone number for Amazon/KDP. You can find it, but if you can't, give me a holler. I'll send it to you.
So just a quick point of clarification. The certificate that we need to get is a resale certificate, not a seller's permit.
They have different names for it, but it's basically the resale certificate. It's kind of the same as the seller's permit, but they're calling it a resale certificate. It's
It's the
Okay,
same
question
thing.
of
Because
semantics.
I
It's the
was
same
looking into
thing.
possibly selling my book and for another event, and I was looking at getting like a temporary seller's permit for 90 days. But that's, I think, different from the resale certificate.
Well, you can, but why, it's if you're gonna be part of our club and we have opportunities to sell books all the time. So go ahead and just make it permanent. You still only have to do a report once a year. If you do the 90-day one, then you got to jump through all the hoops to get the next one. So as long as you go ahead and file for the annual one, and even if you don't have any sales, you still fill out the report in July and just say 0 sales. As long as you file a report every year, it continues. It doesn't void itself out.
Okay,
If you do the 90-day ones, you got to keep renewing them.
perfect. I'm just trying to get my feet in the water and kind of trying to figure things out. So
Yeah, I know Mike's gonna he'll at least send the PowerPoint, I'm sure, out, if not the video. But if you need those slides again and you're not really sure that I ran through on my portion of it, just send me an email and I'll send you what I've got. And I
perfect.
can
And
help you with
I
it.
did find your email, so I marked you
good.
as not spam. My email is being super protective of me right now. So
Yeah, I always tell people to look in their spam folders because a lot of my stuff has been going to spam lately too. So
Yeah, I will send everybody the PowerPoint, and then the presentation itself is going to be on our YouTube channel. So you're welcome to see it there. It should be on there in a matter of days.
I had trouble with the permit, and I called the number, and the lady helped me, and it was done. She was wonderful.
there
So
you go. There's another way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because depending on what time of the day you call me for help, I may not be able to find time to help you. So if the phone number's there, Tom says it works, just call him.
Oh,
It's
she was very
yeah.
helpful.
great. Thank you.
And I do try, most all of you know, I always try to be around if somebody's got questions.
Speaking of questions, any last questions you guys might have? All right,
I
with
have one
Barry.
more.
Oh,
Mike
just have a
mentioned using
comment.
Square. Oh,
well, go ahead. Let's get the comment first, and then Cheryl, you get
okay.
the last question.
Okay,
Okay.
I will be going around at the end of the event, and please keep track of how many books you sold. I don't care about the price. I just want to know the number of books so I can figure out how successful or unsuccessful we are. Don't leave without seeing me.
Terrific. Oh, and two, I wanted to say along with Mike, Mike and I'll be there at 9 o'clock. So if you want to come early and get your spot and start setting up your table and get everything done so you're totally ready at 10 o'clock when we open the doors to the public, we will be there. So please come early. You can even help us move
Thank
a
you.
couple of tables.
And it is first come, first serve as far as the tables are concerned. They are not pre-assigned. One hint that nobody commented about, you do want, a tablecloth of some kind. Try to make it come all the way to the floor, at least in the front, if not also on the sides, because that's a good way to hide stuff. And besides, if you're sitting there and you're maybe not, sitting like a lady and, you don't want anybody looking at what your feet are doing. But it's also a really good place to stick your books and your purse and your bottle of water. And so it's the best idea is to make your covering at least come to the floor in the front, preferably front and sides.
And enjoy yourselves. Be
Yeah,
happy.
have fun.
It's a great
think
bonding experience.
This is Rusty. Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
Okay. The tabletop idea with the covering everything is terrific, but I also find out that a three-dimensional height to your table goes quite a bit to catch attention. Like if you had what I use is a woven basket and I lay it on its side, so I stash my stuff in the basket that the viewer can't see, and then I also use it to promote a poster and even the book on top. So the three-dimensional, it gets them to raise their face to look at you behind the table. So it's kind of capturing both ways.
And if all else fails, a flat king-size sheet in a solid color. You don't want to bring flowers and, Superman from your kid's bed. Well, they wouldn't have a king-size bed anyway. But a flat king-size sheet in a nice dark color of some kind works perfectly for a table covering if you don't have a tablecloth.
Okay, Cheryl, you are up.
Yeah, well, see, now that you guys did so much talking, I still have my one question, but regarding additionally, when Jenny mentioned the table, what sizes again? I know you guys mentioned a really long one or a short one. So approximately how much space will we each have?
The short ones are 6 feet long. The long ones are 8 feet long. We've got 22 authors, so chances are the 8-foot tables will be shared, so you'd have 4 feet of space if you're sharing a table.
Okay, so my initial question then goes back to the payment sources. I know Mike and a couple someone else may have mentioned using a Square. What about PayPal? Is that a good, anyone have any problems with that, or how does that work as far as selling books in general, online, I guess, and in person?
You can use PayPal, you can use Venmo, you can use the Square. It doesn't matter, whatever your preference is.
I know. So does PayPal have a additional fee like the one you mentioned,
Oh
like
yeah.
Square?
Oh, yeah,
PayPal
all
is
of them
about
do.
twice what Square is.
Yeah.
PayPal
is
yeah, it's about 4% plus a transaction fee. So it is more expensive than Square. I don't know about Venmo. I don't use it, but I do know PayPal's almost twice what Square is.
And then I think the other one I heard of was Zelle. Was that the other one that's out there?
you could do Zelle also, but the nice thing about the Square, if I can promote the Square, is that it lets you swipe the cards. And the new one lets you tap the cards. So it's so easy. You don't have to type in the number. You don't have to mess with anything. You just tap the card and boom, the person's sale is started. And you can set up the square on their app for the price of your books. So if you're selling a book at $10 and another one at 15, you just pre-install those prices in, and then you just tap them and boom, you're in. So it can go very smoothly and very quickly.
Just so you know, on Zelle, we use it for a gold prospecting club that I'm a member of, and there is no transaction fee for Zelle.
Right.
So that's one really good benefit of using Zelle. Some people aren't comfortable with it. That's fine, but we have it as an option on top of having our sale point with the tap cards and everything. So
Thank you.
just so you know.
Also,
Okay, I
I want to
appreciate
say
that.
one thing. I've lost a couple sales because some want touchless. They want to be able to tap. So I did buy a square that lets you
Just
sell that.
touch free. Yeah.
Uh,
I've
Now,
never been able to get it to work, but maybe I'll try it again and see what
I've
happens.
had the customers help me.
well, another thing that you may not be aware of, the more modern smartphones have a built-in tap to pay where you don't need that square device. So on my smartphone, uh, and I bought one. I bought the little square tap to pay device, and I was like Jenny, I could never get it to pair it with my phone. But then I
Oh, I can
found
do
out I
that.
didn't need it because my phone has the built-in tap to pay. So you just put the credit card at the bottom of your smartphone and it picks it up.
But mine does not because we double checked.
Yep.
You also need to make sure that your bank accepts Venmo or Zelle or the whatever form you want to use. The bank that our club uses, we can do the Square, but we can't use Zelle because that they are not set up to do either Venmo or Zelle. So some banks maybe aren't set up to take some of these different things. Check with your bank, obviously, to make sure it's going to work.
And do it before the 14th.
Yes, don't do it at 9:30 on the 14th.
And let me give you one more little piece of advice. If you are brand new to this, plan on sharing a table with somebody who is experienced and is not brand new at it. We are a club of coworkers and we are all supporting each other. We have some people in this club that have done dozens and dozens of book sales, and we have some people, this is their first one. So let's help each other out. If you need help, just come up to somebody on Saturday and say, I'm new at this. I'm new at this. Can we share a table? I'll be happy to share a table with you. I'm sure anybody else here who's experienced would be more than happy to be there for you so that if you have questions, you have somebody right there with you to help you along.
Except me.
Except Jenny, because Jenny doesn't like any of us.
I don't like anybody. No, I'm handling my books, but I'm also handling the club's books. So I have a double table and it's just me.
You're
And
But
we
I'm
have,
going to ask somebody to help me. So
we also have Terry Signs and Elizabeth Aguilar are going to be manning a club table at the front. They have volunteered to do that for us. So when you see them, thank them for doing that because they're not selling books. They're just coming in to be a part of the club and to help us all out. So,
but they're going to have water for sale.
and they will have water for sale.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, folks. I don't want to keep you any longer. If you need anything, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you any way that we can. Thank you, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun.
You know where to find us.
Yeah,
That's
thank
right.
you all. This is helpful. Thanks a lot. God bless.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.